So this is take 2. Or take 7 or take 8. Yeah. We'll see. But here we are.
This time we're going live.
Yeah.
Video.
We figured this backdrop was probably the best backdrop for our first live video of season 2.
Be Your Brilliance.
Be Your Brilliance. Yeah, exactly. We have been, well, man, that's so gorgeous.
First of all, do you like the setting?
Yeah. Beautiful.
We didn't fly it in for us. Yeah. We actually had to fly to it.
In saying that is like I said earlier, it's an incredibly rare circumstance that this woman and I are here together by ourselves without kids and husband, your husband, work, yeah. Although, and me taking the week off, and then being able to be here, just in a beautiful, easy, comfortable environment to connect to inspiration and to remember who we are and to talk to each other and then to potentially share it with you. And that's actually all that this is about, is us chatting with each other like we have for years and years, and then sharing it in case it might actually support and help other people. So, maybe.
Yeah, so we're going to share the environment with you a little bit. And if you know where we are, then...
We're at the Mokes. And if people know what the Mokes are, then they know what beach we're on.
This is my first time on this beach, though I've heard of it. I actually have a picture of it in my bathroom. Thanks, Crystal. So, it feels pretty inspiring here. So we were playing in the water and cooling off, and as we do, got into a conversation, and then we thought, you know what, let's do it. Let's try and wing this on the beach in our, whatever setup we got going.
Beach hair, don't care.
So that we can share where we were going. So we were just admiring the beautiful scenery and the homes and just the essence of, as humans, that we need to feel connection to each other and nature and beauty and just that how necessary it is to experience and have vitality to do that. And what is vitality?
Very true.
What does that look like? And I think sometimes we focus on certain ways, certain aspects, but maybe we overlook it in our lives in other ways. So,
yeah, I know vitality is it's an overlapping of things. Like I said, we were earlier when I was saying that it's, my intention with myself, but also in any circumstance, relationship, whatever I'm in, is to help inspire, to elevate, bring myself and other people to a higher vibration, better place, whatever that is. But the overlapping is in all areas of your life. You can't have physical vitality without emotional, mental vitality, financial vitality, relational vitality. So, and it's a major, it's a commitment. And like you were saying, sometimes it comes naturally too when you're brought up in an environment and you've cultivated the habits of nurturing and taking care of that,
Yes. And in certain aspects.
We have a drone above us. Yeah, this is fun.
And in certain aspects too, it comes naturally, maybe because your family cultivates that, or
True.
It has been that way. But I don't think we talk about, I think obviously in my profession, vitality is, I think people equate it to energy. I feel vital, it means I have energy or capacity.
I use coffee for energy.
No coffee. But I think it's so much more. And even when we talk about those things too, like you said, whether it be emotionally, relationally, financially, you could also, I would think, interchange that with having success in those areas, right? And that sometimes we define success in only one area, like financial success, but maybe you're compromising your emotional self or your physical self, or working long hours or whatever that might be. So just what does vitality mean
foremost, I think I don't give a shit how long I live. I really don't. I die tomorrow. I'd be like, love you guys. See you later. As long as I die fast. But, because suffering sucks. So, but in saying that, for as long as I'm a human being living this human experience, I want to be as fully capable as possible to be able to say yes to experiences, to be able to say yes to adventures and new things, and even just say yes to conversations and sleeping well, or whatever. Having the most full experience of my life. And so what is the definition of vitality to me? Or not definition, but vitality is just being able to be as fully capable as possible in any phase or stage of my life. Mm-hmm. The other thing too was, trust me, the first 25 years of my life was a different vitality than the next 20 years of my life, and so on.
Yeah, it's seasons almost.
Right.
Yeah.
And being humbled at early 30s with life basically saying, hey, you might have overdid your in ways. Mm-hmm. Your 20s with the elite athletics and the
focus on physical vitality.
Not even, yes, focus on physical vitality, but I just push everything to a limit. Mm-hmm. So it was physical, mental, emotional. Oh, I can do it all. Oh, I'm atypical, driven, ambitious. Let's do it. Just constantly, not wanting to stop, slow down, whatever. But in my early 30s, when I met you, she's like, do you know what adrenal fatigue is? I'm like, oh. She's like, it's going to take a couple of years. I'm like, okay, let me just go back to bed.
You're like, what supplement do I take? I'm like, no, this is going to take a while.
Like, I don't like you right now. I'm not sure how to take this. But in that phase of healing, I was so gifted because it was, I gotta come back and honor balance and ebb and flow of that energy and that vitality in the phases and stages of my life, and be generous with myself in those phases and stages of what the definition of vitality is, but also know that degeneration happens, and we go backwards if we're not going forwards.
Right.
There's no stop in the middle. So it's a process and a decision to not sprint forward and push myself too much.
I think you said something essential there too, which I resonate with, which is balance. Like, I think the older I get, really young, I think the more I recognize the balance of it too, right? Like, it's not just, yes, physically, I think everyone goes through a process of like, hey, I want to be physically vital, and it's easier when you're younger, right? You kind of bounce back faster, and if you do injure yourself, it doesn't lay you up for months or years, typically. So there's more resilience, potentially, though you don't necessarily know things on the same mental emotional level where you can say, hey, I'm a vital human. Just, I think part of you just haven't experienced enough yet to necessarily get to those same depths or understanding. But the more that I see as I get older, the more I recognize it's actually the balance in all of those aspects brings overall vitality.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. It's actually recognizing my emotional needs. Mm-hmm. It's recognizing when I'm mentally done and I need a break.
Yeah.
It's, recognizing I need to move my body every day in some capacity, because it makes me feel good. Not for physique or a form, but because I want to be continually being able to move my body for my whole life. I want to be climbing those mountains, in 40 years. And that does, that's consistency to create that vitality, that physical memory, that, then it's, your body has more capacity and resilience. I think one of the things, though, that we often maybe overlook is the financial vitality. Because inevitably, if we are failing in one of those aspects, everything else is going to be affected. So if we're stressed about money, or maybe our beliefs around money, that's affecting our mental health, that's affecting our emotional health. Maybe we don't feel that we have enough time to exercise or to be active, so maybe we're compromising ourselves in the self-care decisions we're making. So I think it's interesting because I think vitality is expressed in every way, and also when we do better in those areas, it's a ripple effect, both positive and negative, right? So it can have a negative impact, but also when we're having more abundance and we're feeling that we're taking care of our emotional needs, our mental needs, our physical needs, naturally our relationships are better, right? We're just more grounded, we're more centered, we're not as reactive. I think it's really the balance of them all, which I'm learning. And I'm not perfect in all of them.
What? Really?
Yeah, it's a process.
What?
We're all in. And learning to what is balance. And it's not, again, a definition of a certain goal of success. It's more like the recognition of what is balance look like to me, right? Like working 80 hours a week to achieve some financial goal is not vitality.
I was going to say too, so I'm just thinking of a few people that I love and care about, and myself too. Vitality, or accomplishing, or having vitality, is also getting rid of things that are in the way of vitality.
Yeah,
Like getting out of a relationship that is necessary to let that energy and that vitality, that clarity, that whatever, also, and or changing your food, getting rid of things, letting go of things that are in the way of that vitality, belief systems, ideas that are stopping me from receiving that vitality of life, that life, that living, that energy that can come towards me. It's not just going after it, it's not just creating it, it's actually being available for it, and getting rid of the things that are in the way of being available for it.
Isn't that so important, what you just said? That so many times we think, oh yeah, I need more vitality. We automatically think we gotta add something to our life. Oh, now that means I have to get up at 6 a.m. and work out.
Yeah.
When actually it might be you need to get rid of something in your life so you have more space and time and capacity to do that. Whether it's change your schedule, get rid of some distraction. Maybe there's something that you're hanging on to. Maybe it's a job, a relationship. Maybe just like something that you've always done that's just really not necessary. Or if we think about all the requirements of ourselves, how much of those do we actually really feel purposeful and desire to do, and which ones are we just doing because we've always done them? Maybe that desire has shifted. Maybe that level of commitment that you've had around, it could be a volunteer role, it could be some obligation that you've committed to, where you're just like, that I was really joyful at one point, but I'm ready to move on, and it's maybe keeping me from other things that I want to be focusing on to achieve that balance. So I think it's important to think that it's not always about adding, because I know a lot of times when I feel inspired by something, I'm like, oh, it's just one more thing I have to do, when it's actually the opposite. It's like, well, actually, what if there's one less thing you need to do right now that will give you balance? Or if it's like giving yourself permission to say, I'm going to change things, the way I do them, how I do them, and it doesn't mean your whole life has to go upside down. It might be simple things.
So I'm going to get a little bit more vulnerable for both you and I right now. Ready?
Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah.
So what I'm noticing, just so you guys know, I would normally turn off camera and the audio on this to say, hey Alana, this is what we're doing right now, so I think we should change this.
I just thought it was a good point.
It's a great point.
Yeah.
Everything that we're talking about is great. At the same time, I want to stop teaching. I want to just talk. Because that's actually what this is for. Let's forget that people are watching. I'm forgetting. Yes. I'm getting into teaching, talking, whatever. And I'm like, where am I right now? I'm here with you. I want to get into, let's just chat about it, right? Forget that we're trying to teach this. We don't need to teach it. We don't need to teach it. Because I'm like, this feels a little scripted for me. Even though the information's right, I'm like, no. Why am I not sharing the other stuff? And not giving a shit whether or not it sounds right or not, whatever. Anyway, we're back on. Side note. Anyway, I think, what I mean? This topic can actually get, we've talked about it a lot. I think what would be tell me some of the things that you would change to increase vitality in your life.
Well, I've just made that decision.
Yeah.
Just this last month. I started with changing my schedule, like in terms of when I start, but I've reduced my hours again to working 3 days a week, in like occasions in the office. So I have 2 days to focus on some of the things. One, to have like a mental health, emotional health day, for more personal things, and then a day for the things that I'm feeling inspired in that I'm not having time to do. Which again, I think that's the hard part, is it feels right now like a financial sacrifice, and I can get when we get stuck in that sense of like, well, this is the way it is, and this is the only way I pay my bills, or this is the only way. So then it feels like, it's right. So it's hard to give yourself permission to make that decision. But
True.
I'm really like trusting that it not only is it not a sacrifice, that nothing is going to change in my financial world, even though I am actually working, quote unquote, less on what I would call the day to day. Because the other things that I want to do and I'm feeling inspired in have potential to create that, but is vulnerable. It's freaking vulnerable.
The change. It's the unknown.
Right.
It's
it
like
might or might not show
go.
up, but I think
the most important part about that, though, and I guess this is the trusting, is again, where are we guided? You know, we've got to trust that guidance and let go of that. We need to know, and that we talked about that, the control. You know, so in the vulnerability of letting that hey, I gotta take this out of here to leave space more for something to come in to create more, or just create more. We don't want to go backwards,
right,
but to create more. But in that space of opening up that space to let more come in, that's that vulnerability piece and the unknowing. But where the grounding and the peacefulness comes from is, I trust that I'm not it. I trust that fill-in has just been waiting for me to give it space.
Yeah. And
it's waiting for me giving
huge surrender to that process. Yes.
Yeah.
It's some, and this is my process. It takes all of us time to get to the place where we're comfortable. Really, it's not because anybody's limiting me. I'm just limiting myself. But comfortable where I can say, I just have to see where that goes, right? I mean, I guess, the part is could I always go back to what I'm doing currently? Sure. But I also know that the requirement is for me to move forward, I have to be willing to sometimes let go of the things that I think, like sometimes I do it like I'm doing one thing and then I'm trying to manifest something else, and I'm doing it at the same time, and then that's obviously compromising me and my energy and all those things. And I'm like, well, when this one takes over, then I can let go of this one, when the truth is this can never take over
if you don't let go of the first
until
one.
I let go of this. So that's where I'm like, I gotta step away, to some degree on this part, so I have not just more capacity, but there's more energetic space for that to come to me.
Well, it's constantly where I'm at in the business part, consulting, venture capital part of what it is I do. Constantly saying, vetting new projects, vetting new opportunities, vetting new relationships. Is the time spent based on what I would need to do to cultivate that going to compromise what I'm doing and compromise the space I need to bring that to fruition?
Okay.
And it's crazy vulnerable. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, and it's not. And there's spaces and places in my life where I was like, "Whoops,"
Right.
Left the space, nothing filled in. Shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And/or something did fill in that took me down a direction or a path that I was like, okay, unexpected, which was a gift and whatever, right? So I think coming back to that surrender piece of how do we ground ourselves in trusting that I'm not in control. It isn't up to me. And one of the biggest things is I've got to remember that I don't have a soul's purpose. I have many. My purpose, my desires, like people's like, oh, find your life purpose, figure out your life purpose. I'm like, I got 17,000 purposes. There's a couple fundamental, and the only reason why I know the fundamentals is because they've just shown up in the majority of what it is that I've done over the years. So when I try to ground myself in trusting that empty space, it's me reconnecting to, oh right, what has been the base foundation of what it is that I've done, and how can I align myself with something that would have those things in it.
Connected to.
Right, most connected to. Do those things make me money? Sometimes no. Oops.
Yeah.
Do they cost me money? Sometimes yes. They do, right? But I gotta just trust that. And the more I've trusted that, the more I've moved away from that, the harder life has been. The more I've moved towards trusting that innate, intuitive, I gotta go do this, people think I'm crazy, or not, or even just I think I'm crazy, or not. It always works out way better than I could ever have planned it. In all of the experiences I've had so far in my life, when I look back and I go, I'm in awe of this, it's been when I've done that. There are stuff in my life right now where I've got major resistance, and I've got some things to clean up. I've got some financial goals. I've got debt that I want to get rid of completely forever, and I want what's coming in to be able to replace my efforts. But it's not up to me to control that, right? What I need to do is constantly ground myself in relinquishing that control and letting it go.
And I think there's an element, and you said, how do you get to that point?
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it can feel more graceful, and sometimes, I can speak for myself, there's times where I'm like, I really have to get into the discomfort, like where it's like kind of pounding me, life, and I'm like, why is this not shifting? Why is this not changing? And then sometimes where I'm, and I'm the type of person, what can I be doing different? And I'm trying to analyze the situation, or
trying to analyze.
Right. How can I show up differently when you actually surrender to, like, you almost got to get fed up to the point of like, I actually can't control this.
Yeah.
And so the release isn't because all of a sudden your life changes. The release is, there's no point in me not stressing about it, but like making this thing that I have to change and control and manipulate, like whatever that we're in our mind trying to contrive to make a certain goal happen, when we actually just recognize. And sometimes, like I said, it takes to like that point of total frustration where we're like, why can't I shift this? Where we actually move into a place of surrendering, and letting go of the fact that I don't get to decide. It's actually not my decision.
Here's a perfect example. I'm throwing you under the bus right now.
It's shocker,
because I know you will to me too. So Lana and I are bombing around this beautiful place that you're gonna have to figure out on your own.
Yeah.
But and this is actually really fun because we haven't spent this amount of time. Now, we've lived in very close vicinities. Literally, me and her driveway and her camper trailer while I was in her and Rob's transitions, buying a house, and it wasn't actually coming through on time. I'm like, hey, can I stay at your house? Yes, but we have guests. Can you stay in a camper trailer? Sure. I love it. It's awesome. Works so great. Again, moving out of my house. I'm, moving away for the winter. I got a few events to go to. Can I stay in your upgraded camper trailer?
Yes, that's right.
Anyway, point is, we've been in the vicinity of each other and actually still had to schedule time to be together. So here we are. Right, and we've been here now, I think, for 3-4 days. Saturday, for 3-4 days. One of the things that I'm noticing about you that I didn't get a chance to notice before is, and it's a question as to whether or not you have a hard time relinquishing control, or if you're just hyper detailed, and and or if you're hyper interested in all the details and all the things. Because I said to her, hey, show up, I've got some things planned out. And she says, you said to me, oh, I'm so excited about, just letting that go and following your lead, and here I am. And you're doing great. You're doing great.
Let's not get confused. I've done pretty good.
Yeah. And here's the thing. You are someone I trust to be able to take the lead absolutely and contribute and so on, right? But one of the things I've noticed too is the interjection of is it a need to know because you want to feel like you're in control, or relinquishing that control and just letting things flow. So what do you think that is?
Well, what do you think? We had talked about the other day. I think it's a bit of a few things. I think there's probably an element. I am very detail orientated, so I like detail. Just because that's where my brain goes. Like I'm just in the details.
Very true. Very
so there's an innate part of like, oh, I don't know that detail. What would that be?
That's so true. You're asking.
So it's more out of the curiosity, the interest, than oh no, we should do this instead. Like I don't think it's a matter of I want to control anyone else's world, but probably underneath that is a sense of when I know what's happening, when I plan, when I have an idea of what's happening, then I feel more in control of myself.
Okay.
So I don't think it's because I want to control like the happenings. It's more so that I feel, which I think is human nature, we often want to know, we want certainty, right? We want to say, okay, so there's
true.
probably
I think maybe it's not. I know people that it's not human nature, to be honest. Like I do know. I mean, it's part of my nature too. And the cool thing is me asking you these questions. I'm like, okay, she can turn this on me in 2 seconds, and then I'm thinking, what are my answers? Like, oh shit.
Yeah.
But part of it is maybe, and this is for me too. Again, you're just saying it makes me feel more in control. For me, the question is, why do you feel out of control? Personally, like what is the necessity to even do that with yourself? Is a good it's a good question, and I'm like, why did
probably because I always have been. I don't think it's necessarily
have had
a requirement.
Have had to be in control of yourself.
Be in control, like be the one who's in control, or having to figure things out, or having to have a plan, or
so when
you're used to being in that space, it's probably harder to.
And I always go back to chicken and the egg. So what came first? Having to be in control, or being what would it be? So not.
Well, it doesn't really matter because either way, consciously or unconsciously, I'm manifesting it.
But that's what I mean. That's what
really
I mean.
Matter which
the beauty of going, hey, that's me doing it. It's an unconscious behavior that's showing up. Is that good for me? Is that something beneficial? Is it helpful for me in my life, my relationships, my future, my whatever?
Well, and I would say it depends on the circumstance.
Okay.
Like, obviously here, definitely don't need to.
Yeah.
But there's times when we need to be aware of what's going on around us for ourselves to be able to make
What do
decisions.
you think made you feel unsafe?
Nothing.
In your early years, that made you feel like you internally had to be in control? Because I know where things in my life, and again, I mean, I've done a bunch of work, hypnotherapy, and
for sure,
journeys and so on, to just let that show up if it needed to.
I think it was by example.
Okay.
It was more of a learned behavior.
Okay.
Meaning my parents.
Yep.
Very much.
Yeah.
Needing control. Generationally.
Oh, I see. So watching them, and then
totally
you going, hey,
behavior.
that's how you feel safe.
Yes.
Okay.
That's like all of us, learned behaviors growing up, believing that that's actually the way the world works.
Yeah.
Right. So I wouldn't necessarily. There was, an area where I felt unsafe, that I was required to be in control. It was more of, this is what I witnessed.
Yeah.
That this is the way you engage in the world.
Yeah.
So it's a learned behavior.
Okay. For me, it was actually that I felt unsafe. That I was put in circumstances that I felt unsafe. Whether that was too young on a motorbike, that's great. I learned how to actually adapt to it and whatever. Or, being thrown in the lake and that's how you learn to swim. That kind of thing. It's sort of like at those impressionable ages, somebody walking into the room, parents, whatever, walking into the room and it being explosive from an anger perspective. Ooh, I feel unsafe.
Right.
So for me, that's the process of, hey, I've got to manage me.
Right.
I've got to manage my environment. I've got to manage things. And then over the years going, hey, wow, that's a piece of what I brought with me into my 20s and 30s and whatever. And all right, well, do I want that? Is that healthy for me? Does that feel good? Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, just...
Well, and I think that's where perfectionism comes from, too.
True.
Right? Which I've done many years of work on that. And still not perfect.
Look at you admit
the irony.
it, though.
There's the irony.
Okay, look at you admitting it. Amazing.
But that is part of, if the focus of needing to be perfect, which really is the perception of other people of you, then obviously you're going to try and control as much of the environment as you possibly can, because how people perceive you, you don't have control over. So if I control the environment as much as I can, the delusion is that then I will control how they feel about me.
Yeah.
So I would say it's a direct tie of those things too, which again for me is 100% a learned behavior growing up. Not necessarily because I was told I needed to be perfect, but I certainly felt more supported, loved, encouraged when I was.
When you're doing great at things, yeah. I mean, what a gift though to be. I'll say this though. I mean, there's gifts and nemesis of all of it, but what a gift also to be encouraged, to try, to go for it, to push for it, to.
Right.
There's so many gorgeous things about the way that we both grew up.
Right.
In being encouraged. Hey, you're good at it. Hey, you're independent.
Right.
Hey, you can go for it. You can be first.
Right.
You can do well. You can get that degree. You can be the doctor. You can whatever. You can do whatever you want, Crystal. Go.
Right.
You are strong enough. Thankfully, that was a huge part of all of that too.
Yeah.
And again, it's such a fun process of going this container of vulnerability, because I want to go back to where am I at right now in terms of receiving, because it's the getting, the accomplishments, the going for it, the whatever, the vulnerability, the opposite of that I'm looking for at this point in my life is, where do I get to chill out? Where do I get to be in reception of love, money,
So let's
support,
talk about that, because
relationship.
you are on a journey right now.
True.
So,
I threw myself into the fire.
Yeah, you just did.
I totally
you
did.
just did.
Yeah, it's been an
So so these last 6 months, where is the vitality of which I know you're creating, the vulnerability, the surrendering. Where is that in this process?
Where am I at in this process?
Yeah, what have you learned? What?
Oh, so far.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you're in it. It's a process.
True.
So what do you?
So I think part of it is, I think the biggest part of the process was actually before I even initiated was going, wow, I'm going to actually consciously do that. But part of it was that I can't not do it. I know that where I'm at in my life at the time was I need to continue to pursue avenues, resources, whatever, from a business perspective, from a financial perspective, and then mostly at the time, where's home that is safe, that is vital, that is resourceful, that is easy, not just for me.
So can you share what that is? Like, meaning, obviously, what are you doing? Like what have you done?
Well, I sold
sold
everything.
Yeah.
I moved out of my house. I have we got a party going on just so so we're having a party. Actually, we need wine. That's what we need.
Yes, we do. Forgot that one in the car.
Sold my house. It's true. We forgot to grab it. We'll have it in the next video. So then I packed up all my stuff, downsized everything, put a 2-bedroom apartment into storage, have my great friend storing my car. Alana and Rob let me live in their house for a month while I went to weddings and so on and that. I went to the Bahamas to follow up projects, like this venture capital project that I was doing. Sorry, I don't know if these people behind us are coming through on the video, but let's just listen to their conversation. And so then the intention was to be there for the winter and just kind of come and go from there to figure out again, where is it that I want to be and where can I set up a spot that my friends and family can come at some point if they choose to. And Bahamas went short on that, and then gifted opportunities with my girlfriends who live in the U.S. Stayed with Carrie for a couple weeks in Texas. I mean, and these are places that are sovereign in terms of what's going on in the world right now. There's a lot more freedom there. There's a lot more option and choice and whatever. So going there, it blows my mind that my girlfriends are actually in these places.
Right.
It doesn't.
But you're living the part of, from a vulnerability, you're living the part of what a lot of us talk about is, we'll just sell all our stuff and, go figure it out.
Yeah.
And you're in that. You're in the process of,
it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I don't like not having a home.
Yeah.
I really don't. I'm never doing this to myself again. Never. And I'm grateful that I have had environments that actually feel like home, that I can be in. And part of it is being there for them, and then also being gifted by it to be there where I am for me.
What does home provide for you that you don't have right now?
Oh man, consistency, stability. I would say like a quiet, clean, consistent sanctuary type of environment. Sanctuary. Because my home, for me, over all the years, no matter who was living in it or not, was always my safe place. It was always my grounding. It was always where I got to relax and not think and let things come through. And
which is, I think, important, having a sanctuary, even if it's a room.
Yes.
Home might be a bedroom for somebody.
And it has been at times for me in the past too. I mean, the last 10 years, or actually no, probably longer, 15 years, 20 years, I've always had a home, but it's been shared too. So, I've had roommates and suites and rentals and so on. But part of that, the home part, is stability, reliability, consistency, quiet, surrender, safe, those things. So from that place, I can be adventurous, I can be inspired, I can take risks, I can
be more free,
come and go. Yeah. And that's exactly what I'm out here doing, is going, what I didn't know before I went on this voyage is, where is that place other than where I am at? Not where am I? It's not in Canada. It's, and if I'm ever in Canada, it's always in Kelowna, but where is it elsewhere? And I mean, for years I was like, okay, that's enough. I'm going to spend my winter somewhere else. So that's basically what that is. In the least, this is setting up home somewhere else that's not cold.
So is there areas in your life, from a vitality perspective, that you what areas do you feel like you need to grow the most in, or that you are in this process maybe developing or seeking, or do you feel like you have that balance where?
No.
What's your feeling on that?
I'll say where I'm good. Where I'm good is I really have a really good system or habits, no matter where I'm at taking care of my physical health, also my mental health. I have some pretty good boundaries that I've set up in my life of, hey, this is what I need. And if it goes awry, I know how to pull myself back from that. Spiritually, I think I can have a little bit more consistency in connecting to that a little bit. I get distracted and I forget. Financially and in my career is where I'm really excited to get some dig my heels in. And it's probably been my biggest nemesis my whole life, is being a serial entrepreneur and being and having to self-fund and like I was saying to you before, is I'm done with the feast and famine. Like I make a whole bunch of money and I'm doing really well at these projects and I take on stuff and then I'll spend too much time on something that I'm excited about that never goes anywhere, and there I am back again. And so that is actually where I'm at right now. And here's I think where the shift is I'm not chasing it anymore. I'm actually in a position where it's coming to me finally. I'm like, and part of what has changed in me, where it's actually coming to me and it's getting easier, the financial abundance is getting easier, the belief and idea around being able to be free of financial burden and being able to have more passive, easy, manageable income coming in no matter where I'm at. Why it's starting to come my way a little bit more is with ease is because I'm figuring out this receptivity. I'm figuring out how to just be in receiving.
I'm not trying to do it all.
Not so much do it all, no. Because I'm good with working hard and doing it in the flow. But
what is it that's allowing you to receive?
What do
you think shifted?
Trusting what I was just saying earlier is actually trusting that I don't have to have control. Man, I've had experiences just in the last 2-3 months financially of holy shit, all I did was got up, connected to spirit in the ways that I do, which is journaling, maybe it's a jog, maybe it's, I don't meditate like normal people meditate. I can't put my hands on my knees and do Om. I just can't. So I'll do yoga or whatever. But truthfully, I think just sitting and asking, like having a chat with my guides, universe, God, whatever you want to call it, and saying, you're welcome to guide me. I don't know this shit. And I'm listening. And I'm going to just literally take your steps, not mine. And that's been a big shift.
Huge.
In all of a sudden, someone will phone up and something will happen where the money started coming in on a project that I was working on forever, or a joint venture partnership shows up, or meetings show up. I'm like, wow, okay. And the crazy thing is that I forget to do that every day. Like even when we were walking down to the beach here today, I literally said, please guide me. Just please guide me. I'm good. I'm listening. Because I forget to do it. I get distracted by life. I get distracted by being a human being.
Yeah.
I get distracted by relationships. I get distracted by environments. And I just literally forget that process of it. So what I'm really looking forward to, like all the other cool habits that I've really done as an athlete, as an entrepreneur, as a friend, ideally, in the way that I want to have friendships, is establish a really good foundation of habits in that. And part of the reason why that I'm grateful to be in the environment that I'm in right now is when you're in environments like this, you don't have to think about survival. You don't have to think about where you're next.
Staying warm. Definitely don't have to think about that.
Because we're back home right now is snowing, so
it's not
heard.
warm. Let's just put it that way.
A few people are like, hey, you guys are, not missing much.
Check out the snow.
Yeah. But yeah, being in an environments that are easy. Literally, walk out the door, you don't have to think about what you're wearing, what you're not wearing.
Things, yeah.
Where's your good water? Where's your good food? Where's your supplements? Where's the other things? It's so important.
So important.
And getting in it.
Yeah.
Like being able to get in good water that grounds you, that brings you closer to the earth, that gives you the
nature.
energetic.
To me, it's nature, being connected, and I feel most grounded when I'm in nature. Even more so when I'm getting in the ocean, which is great, or a lake. But when I'm in trees and you just smell that fresh, like after a rain, it's just like I zero right in.
We are in Hawaii if nobody's figured that out yet. And this is the first love of my life. I came here when I was 21 and I was like, what is this feeling in me? It's not what is this place, it's what is this place reminding me of? It's the first time I ever was like, whoa, okay, I know myself. So coming here, being in these environments, even just being in the jungle and going on the hikes and being in this environment, it's so peaceful. aside from it being easy, like from a U.S. perspective and a cultural perspective and whatever, there's something about the land here that in the places here. So from that place,
well, and I can say even if you don't have the opportunity to live in a place like this or be in a place like this for a very long period of time, just being here for a week, to be able to get out of our element sometimes, to have time to reflect and think and recognize, like, what am I doing well? What am I not doing well? Where do I, it's hard to have perspective when you're in it, right? So, I mean, there's a gift in being in an environment that really lends to that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be a place you live. Yeah. I mean, great if it can be. Yeah. But there's all sorts of scenarios that we can create that allows us to create that atmosphere of, okay, if I didn't have to worry about the basic things, which usually means I don't have to get up and do something or participate or go to work, or you have a period of time, that's when you can really reflect and have an opportunity to figure out, there's certainly lots of those thoughts in any time I'm away, but definitely this week of, okay, where, what am I doing that's good? I think sometimes we're always like, what's wrong? What am I doing that's good right now? What do I feel good in my life, with my kids and my husband and my family and my career? What are the things that I'm grateful for? And then what are some of the areas that maybe I'm not living my most vital life? I think time is always my nemesis. And I say that, obviously that can reflect a lot of things, but time only because time will often be the excuse of why I don't allow certain spiritual vitality for me. It's a big thing, that's going to take time. And I forget that it can be as simple as I'm sitting in my car and I'm praying.
Yeah.
Or I'm walking down the path and saying, hey God, I just want to show up here with you. Or I'm on my walk because I'm doing my hikes anyways, and I'm those things that I forget that it's just invite him to come with me here.
Exactly. It's an invitation.
And it's not having to be a big dialogue. It can be just an experience. And so, like I said, the simplicity of, I can do that. I don't have to carve out another 30 minutes in my day to make sure I, read the Bible and I've prayed and I've sat with God and meditated and there's, I think spiritually for me that's one of the areas that I'm lacking, but I think when I say time, that can show up in a number of areas where, I don't have enough time to make this appointment or,
Do you think you create time constraints to keep you safe? To keep you from being vulnerable in ways? It's not. This is a question. I don't know if I see that in you, but I guess because sometimes it's a barrier. It's a very convenient barrier, right? So I'm just wondering if it's an unconscious barrier for you to keep yourself safe. Maybe that's
it
just
doesn't
something.
feel that way.
Yeah.
It feels more like I'm constantly needing to prioritize how I spend my time. And so there's, and that's when you wear lots of different hats and lots of different roles. And really, I feel like for myself, taking time for myself, both from a physical perspective and from an emotional, mental perspective, I'm pretty good at that, and that's a priority. And I'm really not one that, I'm not a sit in front of Netflix forever. I'm not that kind of person. It's literally okay, of all the things, which is the most important priority? And what are the things that, to me, again, it speaks more to, how do I do this simply? It's not adding all the time, but it's actually
More efficient.
more
effective.
Decreasing, letting go, and that's part of the surrendering of,
Yeah.
Even how much mental space we hold to try and figure shit out that's not ours to figure out, right? Even that's a distraction of, what if I wasn't catching myself having those stupid thoughts all the time, and I could just focus on, hey God, show up with me right now and let me be present.
I'm glad you said that, because actually that was my in all of your beautiful verbalizing, your detailed, hyper-detailed analytical stuff, I actually wondered how much of that is actually a distraction for you to not hear.
Mm-hmm.
Like to not actually hear the guidance.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's, an unconscious.
Yeah,
unconscious
exactly,
for
always.
sure. But that's why I've recognized for me too, it's actually a requirement that I remove myself from my life consistently for even a period of time, because when I don't, that's when we get into the unconscious rigmarole, and it's only when I'm like, great, step out a minute, reflect, like look at this, reevaluate, okay, come back in with conscious intention.
Make
for
our
me,
choices
that's important.
consciously.
Like I think when we're busy, we'll give an excuse reason why we can't do that. It's actually an essential requirement to live in a life of a lot of requirement from you. Otherwise, we are all going to default to the unconscious. Always.
True. Of course.
It's becomes survival, not thriving. Right. So yeah, absolutely. I hate using the word busy. Like when people say, "Oh, how's it going?" I hate saying that I'm busy, even though sometimes it's absolutely true. I don't like saying it because I feel like, well, that's a choice. I don't have to be busy. So then I'm out, okay, what do I need to let go of here? How do I be more present? And when you're driven and have goals and all those things, it's this constant balance, right? The less is more.
Sometimes I think too, the answer, maybe not for you, but the answer for some people, including me at one point in my life, was I'm busy meant I'm unavailable.
Right.
And that was just my really awesome default answer.
Code word
was I'm busy means I'm unavailable, but I don't want to tell you why, and I don't want to give the excuses, and I don't want to hurt you, and I'm not interested in being honest, and I'm going to actually just say I'm busy. I've been busy. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. Now,
like as a justification for not connecting.
Not connecting. Where if I was to be honest at those points, it was, hey, my priority is me. My choice is I don't really feel like cultivating a relationship with you, whoever's asking me, or
not interested.
Not interested.
Not priority.
Or whatever. Oops. So, but internally, thankfully, I can look at that and go, I'm not busy, but what is that? And do I want to continue to use the excuse busy as that barrier, or do I want to just cultivate authenticity in that relationship? Do I move towards that? Do I move towards, and that could be relationship in business, or relationship in my primary relationships that I don't have right now. That's a whole other podcast. The king is out there somewhere. I actually have talked about that so much that I actually had, I think it was Dakota. Dakota says, somebody bought me at, they bought me, who was that? Oh, I'm so sorry, I can't remember right now.
There's somebody watching this right now.
Yeah, it is. Or listening.
Yeah.
It was, I think it was Dakota, bought me a cup that was a king cup, or a king and queen cup. Anyway, that your king is on his way at some point. I know. I think it was her. She's like, I know he's around the corner. And
just saying.
Yeah. Just saying. I'm very available for that receptivity at this point. I wasn't at one point, but I am. So I'm good. I'm going to do it differently this time. But anyway.
Well, on that note.
I think we'll wrap this one up.
Beach.
Yeah.
Man.
Awesome. Thank you.
So
this
cool.
is so good. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
I'm grateful for whoever has decided to chime in and listen to us banter on a beach somewhere in the tropics, Hopefully they get to imagine this for themselves and that they get to be inspired for whatever. But I'm really grateful so grateful that here we are.
Yeah.
We did it. Good job. Woo! Woohoo! Long time coming. And stay tuned for the next one. I think this is a wrap on this one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.